Okay, hello everyone. Very welcome to part 5 of I2. Um, at the beginning, I would like to go back a little bit, work on grammar that we have over them before. We have been over them before, and then start a new unit. Uh, as you remember, we worked on different conditional types, 0, type 1 and 2. Um, uh, Now here we have language bank. Let me give you a very brief introduction. Uh, Type 0 is a type that we usually use for facts and principles when something can be true all the time. For example, um, when people get married in Japan, they usually have a ceremony at a shrine. This is something that generally happens there. Or very, very general facts and principles like if you hit water, it boils. Both if clause and consequence or main clause both are present, simple present. In type 1, in type 1, um, conditional type 1, we have if clause, consequence. If clause is present, it can be present simple, present progressive, progressive, present perfect, and also we can use should and uh, again simple present the same as that 0 type actually. For example, um, I want to buy a house, and I say if it is reasonable, I will buy it. So if it is reasonable is my if clause. The result, the consequence is I will buy it. It means that the action of buying will happen if the reason is the price is reasonable. So here in type 1 we can say that it might happen. There is a possibility of happening. If clause happens, consequence will happen too. If clause doesn't happen, consequence will not happen either. Okay. In consequence, we can have will, I will buy it, or imperative, buy it, or we can use other auxiliaries like may, can. Uh, if you go to the party, you may see her. If you go to the party, you may see her. These are auxiliaries. And so there is a possibilities of happening, and also we can use unless instead of if not. For example, uh, I'll go on a picnic unless the weather is bad. It means that I'll go, I won't go on a picnic if the weather is bad. Unless means if not. And a conditional type 2, we said that it is a kind of actually imaginary hypothetical situation, something that is not possible to happen at the moment, right now. And I emphasize that be careful. In second conditional, situation is now, but the structure is past. Structure is past because the situation is unreal. For example, am I a man? No. But I see and think, oh, if I were a man, oh, I would travel alone all over the world. But I'm not a man, so I cannot travel alone around the world. Am I a doctor? No. If I were a doctor, I would help people. I don't have time right now because I'm in the class. I cannot go to the party. If I didn't have a class right now, I would go to the party, or I could go to the party. So in if clauses type 2, the situation is now, but uh, the tenses, if clause, consequence, both of them are past. If I lived in another country, I would enjoy every minute, for example. Good. Or I would miss my family. And also, we talked about wish clauses. For example, if I had money, I would buy a BMW. So, imaginary. Okay. I wish I had enough money. I wish I could buy a BMW. So, imaginary, unreal situation for now. Now, let's very quickly go to language bank practices 3.1 and complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs in parentheses. Use modals wherever possible. Let me open my book. 37. Okay, good. Now, let's check them together. If I, because this part is related to conditional sentences type 1, so we complete them with conditional type 1 or 0 type. If I pass my exam, my teacher will be very surprised. So, look here, if you remember, we talked also about should. We use also we can use should in if clauses. With if clauses, will or would is impossible. Never ever, we can't use them. Never ever use will with if clauses, but should is possible. And we talked about should. We use should when really we don't expect something to happen. So, because here is my teacher will be very surprised, here we can also use should. If I pass, it is right. If I pass my exam, the teacher will be happy. But because it gives a sense of something impossible that we don't expect to happen, so should can be also used in this situation. If I should pass my exam, my teacher will be very, very surprised. Number 2, when you visit my mother, she usually looks after the children. This can be a kind of general and zero condition, so both sides are simple. When you visit my mother, she usually, this usually shows that this is something that generally happens, so zero or general condition is used here. Number 3, when Gaby leaves her job in the summer, she will worry about what to do next. Number 4, if I don't find any cheap ticket, we won't go to Malta. Number 5, if you don't water plants, they die. If you use they die, it is general and zero type. Possible, both cases are possible here. They will die, or if you consider it as a general fact, you can say they die. If you don't water them, they die. If you don't water them, they will die. I'll be surprised if Martha comes to the party. She said she wasn't feeling well. Number 7, if you get lost, do you usually ask someone for direction? Because it is talking about something general, we use zero condition. If you get lost, do you usually ask someone for help? Number 8, they won't come unless you invite them. It means that if you don't invite them, they won't come. They won't come unless you invite them. Number 9, if it were a nice day, I would like to go for a run in the morning. I told you before, we usually use were instead of was in if clauses and wish sentences because the situation is unreal. Was is not wrong, but were is formal and academical. Number 10. I listen to classical music when I want to relax because I'm talking about something that I generally normally do. So zero, we use zero conditional. I listen to classical music when I want to relax. Number 2, underline the correct alternative. You can't come to the conference unless if when you are invented. Which one? You can't come unless you are invited. Number 2, I'm not talking to you unless you calm down first. It means that if you don't calm down, I'm not talking to you. Number 3, they'll they will arrive as soon as dinner is ready. As soon as, actually we can use as soon as, unless, when, and if. As soon as just plays the role of something like if. So they will arrive as soon as dinner is ready. Number 4, they will cancel the flight if the weather is bad. Number 5, if you eat all of that chocolate mouse, you will feel ill. Number 6, we will organize a taxi when we know what time the concert starts. We will organize a taxi when we know what time the concert starts. Number 7, when I see a spider, I always scream. Type 0 because this is something general that always happens. I always scream when I see a spider. Number 8, I'll get some money as soon as the bank opens. So as soon as is just like if. After as soon as we have simple form, and before that main clause is will be with will. Okay, and again I emphasize that we can use if clause and main clause interchangeably. Means first if clause, then consequence, then we use a comma. If we use consequence first, then the if clause, in this case we don't need to write to use any commas. Okay, 3.2. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs in the parentheses. Use contractions were possible. Okay, now number one. Just a minute. Okay, number one. If I sold my house now, I wouldn't, it wouldn't be worth very much. We are talking about conditional type 2, hypothetical imaginary situations. If I sold my house now, it wouldn't be worth very much. Worth here means cost. Actually, worth here is an adjective. It means that it won't be very good for me. I won't make a profit here if I sold my house now. Number two, uh, would your parents come if I organize a party? Number three, he wouldn't be able to study here if uh, he didn't pass that exam. Number four, if you lost your passport, you would need to visit the consulate. Number five, they would be healthier if they didn't eat so much junk food. Number six, if you wrote a novel, what would you call it? Number seven, if the students didn't have internet access, they would find it difficult. They would find it difficult. Number eight, we won't work there if the boss didn't give us a lot of freedom. Number nine, where would she live if she had to move to a different country? Where would she live if she didn't if she had to move to a different country? Number 10, if he could study on Tuesday, he wouldn't need to come on Wednesday. Okay? Thank you. Next part. Write a sentence with I wish for each situation. Number one is done for you. I don't have a good car. I wish I had a good car. So you are going to start all of them with I wish. And you know that with wish clauses, we can use simple past. I wish I had a car. With could. I wish I could have a car. And also you can use with would. I wish my son would pass the exam, for example. And would is mostly used when the subjects are different. Number two, she never listens to me. I wish she would listen to me. Or I wish she listened to me. Number three, I wish he could study abroad. Number four, I wish they could invite me to the party. Or I wish they would invite me. Or they invited me. Number five, I wish he could extend his vacation. Extend means make it longer. I wish he could extend his vacation. Number six, I wish we would start the new project today, or we could start. or we started. Number 7, I wish she helped me. Number 8, I wish there were someone to talk to. I wish there were someone to talk to. Number 9, I wish the dog wouldn't bark. I wish the dog didn't bark, wouldn't bark. Number 10, I wish I could play the piano. I wish I could play the piano. Okay, thank you very much. Now, let's go back to the book, 3.3, page 28. Page 28, 3.3. That's great news. Okay, what kind of events are considered or deemed to be good, and you can say that this way you can give good news, and what kind of events are deemed to be bad, and it is difficult to transfer this bad news. Okay. um, Definitely everybody, it is very difficult for everybody to transfer, to convey bad news to others. But good news is something that everybody really enjoys transferring and conveying it. Now, which news are deemed to be good? Which ones are deemed to be bad news? There are some actually phrases here. Look at these phrases, page 28. Look at the phrases, and let's check them together and see if they uh, are good news or bad news. Okay, yes. Yeah, here we are with 1A. Pass your exam. Yeah, definitely good news. Have an accident. Bad news. Be offered a job. Very good news. Get a place at a university. Definitely a piece of good news. Get engaged or married. It depends on your idea. Yes, but generally we can say it's a piece of good news. Um, Lose your job or money. Bad news. Fail a test. Bad news. Split up with your spouse, husband or wife. Split up means break up, we had before. Do you remember two multi-word verbs? Split up is scroll down and up. I don't know. Go on well, and we talked that some of them are separable. We can separate and use object. Some of them are inseparable. When they need an object, we cannot separate them and put object between them. So split up is bad news. Win a competition or match, definitely good news. Get promoted, good news. Promoted is an adjective, means to get to higher position at work. Get a degree. Good news. Buy a house is a piece of very good news. Okay. Uh, Has any of these have any of these things happened to you recently? I hope that all these good news have happened. At least some of them have happened to you. Okay. Now, we want to a little bit talk about how to convey sometimes the news. Mostly, okay, good news. Definitely, you enjoy giving good news. But what about bad news? Really, it is difficult to convey and give bad news. Here, some ways, definitely, you might have some on your own ways, your own attitude about that, your own path. But here, some ways have been suggested in order to convey a piece of bad news in a way in a way not to upset other people's very much. Okay, now you try to come up with your own ideas about giving bad news. Here are some good suggestions for you. Let's read together. Good ways to give. Of course, there are some phrases here in the box. You're supposed to uh, complete this text using these phrases. Good. It is easy to give someone good news, but what about when you have some bad news to tell? Are there any good ways to give bad news without making people too upset? The following steps might help. Say something positive. Try to start or end the conversation with some good news so that it is not all bad. For example, you did very well in the interview, but unfortunately, we have given the job to somebody else. So, first you give a compliment. First, you start with something good, with a compliment, then you give bad news. Um, Prepare your listener for the news. Prepare your listener for the news. Use phrases to introduce what you're going to say, like, unfortunately, I'm really sorry, but blah blah blah, or I'm afraid I've got some bad news. This gives the listener time to prepare for what you are going to say. So, direct, don't give the bad news. Start with the somehow introduction and then give that bad news. For me, I think direct giving bad news is better, but because I myself, when I hear somebody says, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I want to give you something, I want to tell you something, then immediately I feel terrible. I understand something bad has happened. So, in my idea, not preparing the person is better. But anyway, this is what in the book has been suggested. Okay, let's go on. Try to give a reason. People like to know why things go wrong. Try to explain the decision. If someone doesn't get the job, can you explain why? If you have to cancel an arrangement, try to give a reason. So give some explanations, give some reasons, uh, and try to convince that person. Use a soft tone of voice. If you're giving someone bad news, try to use a soft, calm voice to make you sound kind. Say things to show you understand, like, I'm really sorry, or I know this must be disappointing. Okay, now do you agree or disagree with these steps? Uh, Different people have different ideas. I myself disagree with the idea of preparing the listener. Anyway, it depends on your own attitude, outlook about this one. Okay, here are As you say, here are some photos, 1, 2, G, and there is a listening part audio. You're going to listen and match them with the match each conversation with the photo. Okay? Ready? Let's listen.
Listen to 7 conversations. Match the conversations to pictures A to G.
1.
We've got something to tell you.
What's that?
We're getting married.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
There's one thing I've got to tell you, though.
Really? What's that?
I'm afraid you're not invited.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's going to be a very small wedding.
I see. 2.
Hello, you came in for a job interview last week.
Yes, that's right.
Firstly, I'd like to say that we were very impressed with your interview.
Oh, thank you.
However, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we've offered the job to someone else.
Oh, that's a shame. Thanks anyway.
I'm afraid the other candidate had more experience.
I understand.
But we'd like to keep your details in case another job comes up in the future.
Okay. 3.
You'll never guess what. What? I've just won some money on the Spanish lottery. Oh, you're joking. No, really. That's amazing. How much did you win? 1,000 euros. Oh, you lucky thing. How fantastic. How are you going to spend it? Actually, I've got so many bills to pay. I'll spend it on that. Well, it's good news anyway.
4. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
What is it?
I've crashed the car.
Oh no, that's terrible. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
That's lucky.
But I'm afraid the car isn't.
Oh, that doesn't matter. We can get the car fixed.
Unfortunately, it was your car.
My car? You mean you crashed my car? How did that happen?
Well, you see, 5.
I've got some good news for you.
What is it?
You know, I was waiting to hear from the university.
Yes?
Well, I'm really pleased to tell you they've offered me a place.
That's wonderful news. Well done. I'm so pleased for you.
There's only one problem.
And what's that?
It means I'm leaving home.
Yes, of course. But it's fantastic news. 6.
Guess what?
What?
I got the promotion.
That's fantastic.
Yes, but there's something I've got to tell you.
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, but we'll have to cancel the vacation.
What do you mean?
Unfortunately, I can't go on vacation. I've got too much work to do.
Oh no. That's really annoying. I was looking forward to it.
I know. I'm really sorry.
7.
Bad news, I'm afraid.
What is it?
Steve's lost his job.
Oh no, that's awful. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Do you want to hear the good news, though?
Yes?
The company's paying him $30,000.
Really?
He's going to travel around the world.
That's amazing.
Good. Now, let's match them with the photos. Okay, number 1, B. Number 2, E. Number 3, C. Number 4, F. Number 5, G. Number 6, D. Number 7A. Okay, now look at the pictures and once again, look at the pictures and what is the bad news and good news in each situation? Number 1, picture B. What is the good news? Good news, she's getting married, engaged. And what is bad news? Her friend in the conversation is not invited to the party because it is a very small family party. So that friend of her is not invited. This is bad news about her marriage. Number 2, E. The boy had an interview, but unfortunately, the bad news is that fortunately, he didn't get the job. The job was offered to someone else because that person had better experience, more experience. What about good news? They're going to keep his document, and if another job comes up, they will call him again. 3. Um, she won the lottery, $1,000. This is the good news. And the bad news is that she's going to spend all this money on her bills. Number 4, he had an accident. This is the actually bad news. He had an accident, but he's okay. This is good news that he is okay, but the car is not. And another bad news. The other bad news is that uh, he had the accident with his friend's car, and the car is somehow completely damaged. Okay, number 5. Good news is that she got a place at a university. Bad news is that she has to leave the house and go to the university. Number 6, she got promoted is the good news. But bad news is that she has to cancel their vacation because she has to work. And number 7, the bad news actually is that the man lost his job, but on the other hand, he got $30,000 and he's going to travel around the world with this money. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Now, next page, 3B. Look at the pictures. We talked about bad news and good news about each one. And 4A, look at the phrases the speakers use to introduce their news. Listen again and write the conversation number next to each phrase. Now, you're going to listen again and look at the phrases and number them in the order that they appear in the conversation.
3.4. Listen to 7 conversations. Match the conversations to pictures A to G.
1.
We've got something to tell you.
What's that?
We're getting married.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
There's one thing I've got to tell you, though.
Really? What's that?
I'm afraid you're not invited.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's going to be a very small wedding.
I see.
2.
Hello, you came in for a job interview last week.
Yes, that's right.
Firstly, I'd like to say that we were very impressed with your interview.
Oh, thank you.
However, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we've offered the job to someone else.
Oh, that's a shame. Thanks anyway.
I'm afraid the other candidate had more experience.
I understand.
But we'd like to keep your details in case another job comes up in the future.
Okay.
Three.
You'll never guess what. What? I've just won some money on this Spanish lottery. Oh, you're joking. No, really. That's amazing. How much did you win? 1,000 euros. Oh, you lucky thing. How fantastic. How are you going to spend it? Actually, I've got so many bills to pay. I'll spend it on that. Well, it's good news anyway.
4. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
What is it?
I've crashed the car.
Oh no, that's terrible. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
That's lucky.
But I'm afraid the car isn't.
Oh, that doesn't matter. You can get the car fixed.
Unfortunately, it was your car.
My car? You mean you crashed my car? How did that happen?
Well, you see, 5.
I've got some good news for you.
What is it?
You know I was waiting to hear from the university?
Yes?
Well, I'm really pleased to tell you they've offered me a place.
That's wonderful news. Well done. I'm so pleased for you.
There's only one problem.
And what's that?
It means I'm leaving home.
Yes, of course. But it's fantastic news. 6.
Guess what?
What?
I got the promotion.
That's fantastic.
Yes, but there's something I've got to tell you.
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, but we'll have to cancel the vacation.
What do you mean?
Unfortunately, I can't go on vacation. I've got too much work to do.
Oh no. That's really annoying. I was looking forward to it.
I know. I'm really sorry.
7.
Bad news, I'm afraid.
What is it?
Steve's lost his job.
Oh no, that's awful. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Do you want to hear the good news, though?
Yes?
The company's paying him $30,000.
Really?
He's going to travel around the world.
That's amazing.
Okay. Number done is for you. The last one, we've got something to tell you, is number 1. Number 2, in part of bad news, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but blah blah blah. I mean, this one is number 2. Number 3 is this one. You'll never guess what. Number 4 is this one. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Number 5, I'm really pleased to tell you. And also, I've got some bad news for you. These two, number 5. Number 6, I'm afraid, unfortunately. And also, there is something I've got to tell you. Number 6. And number 7, bad news, I'm afraid. Okay. Good. Thank you. Now, next part, 4C. 4B, sorry. Listen to some of the phrases in the table again. Underline the stressed syllables. Now, listen please, and underline the stressed syllable.
3.5. Listen to some of the phrases in the table again. Underline the stressed syllables.
1,
I've got some good news for you.
2,
I'm really pleased to tell you.
3,
You'll never guess what.
4,
Bad news, I'm afraid.
5,
I'm sorry to have to tell you, but
6,
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
7,
unfortunately there's something I've got to tell you.
Okay, so I'm starting from beginning. Look, here the first one, got and news, should be underlined. Next one, really pleased, really pleased, and also tell, really pleased, tell. Next one, never guess what, never guess what. Next one, bad news, and also afraid. Next part, sorry and tell. And this one, unfortunately. And here, afraid, got bad news. Here, something got tell you. Of course, you didn't have the rest of them in your listening. And no, here, no. And this part, got something and tell you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, let's go to Language Bank once more. Language Bank, page 36, about giving news. There are some phrases that help you to introduce good news, bad news. Here you see the table, first with good news. I've got some good news for you. I'm really pleased to tell you. You'll never guess what. So you start to introduce, give good news. You can use these phrases and expressions. And bad news. Bad news, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but I'm afraid, unfortunately. Blah, blah, blah. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. There's something I've got to tell you. And good or bad news that you can use for both. Well, you can use for both bad news and good news. I've got something to tell you. So these three can be used for both. And how to respond to good news, how to react, to show your enthusiasm and to show your interest. Wow, that's fantastic. Great news. Congratulations. You're joking. You lucky thing. You lucky thing means you're very lucky. Well done. Have you? Did you? And responding to bad news. That's a shame. That's a shame is used when actually you want to express your disappointment. That's a shame means I'm very disappointed. It is used for expressing your disappointment. That's terrible, awful. That's really annoying. I'm really I'm really sorry to hear that. So they are used to actually give good news, bad news, or both of them, and how to respond to these good news. So definitely for good news, you show your interest, and for bad news, you feel so sorry. Okay, and as you notice, the intonation also changes. Okay, let's go to here again to in order to do the practice part. Uh, yeah, let me find it here for you. Yes, page the rest of language bank. Complete the conversations. Let's complete them together. Number one, you'll never guess what. What? I'm moving to Australia. You're joking. No, I'm leaving in March. You lucky thing. Number two, I've passed my exam. Have you? Congratulations. Yes, I got the result this morning. Number three, there is something I've got to tell you. What it is? What is it? I've decided to leave my job at the university. I'm af- I'm afraid to hear that. What's the problem? Number four, I'm afraid we're going to be late. Why? What's happened? The flight's been delayed. Oh, that's a shame. That's really annoying. So when you're responding to bad news, your intonation goes down. When you are responding to good news, your intonation goes up. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go to the book. Go back page 29. Okay, good. Part 5. Put the words in the correct order to make sentences. Okay, are you ready? Take a look at them and let's do them together. I'm going to read the correct answers. After writing yourself, check your answers with this one. Let me see. Okay, yes, I'm going to read them. Number 1. Bad news, I'm afraid. We lost the match. Number 2. I'm really pleased to tell you that you got the job. Number 3. I'm afraid we're going to be late. Number 4. There's something I've got to tell you. Number 5. You'll never guess what. Number 6. I've got some good news for you. Number 7. Unfortunately, the concert is cancelled. Number 8. You know we lost the cat. Question mark. You know we lost the cat? Question mark. Well, we found him again. Okay, done. Next part. Good. How do the speakers respond to the news? Complete the conversations with the words in the box. So, there are some words in the box according to whatever we studied in language bank and we had in the tables about responding to news, bad news, good news. You are going to complete these conversations. Okay? We have done and we are going to check together. Number 1. We're getting married. Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Number 2. We have offered the job to someone else. Oh, that's a shame. Thanks anyway. I told you, that's a shame means it is disappointing. I am disappointed. Number 3. I've just won some money on the Spanish lottery. You're joking. How much did you win? 1,000 euros. You lucky thing. Number 4. I've crashed the car. Oh no, that's terrible. Number 5. They've offered me a place. That's wonderful news. Well done. I'm so pleased for you. Number 6. Steve's lost his job. Oh no, that's awful. I'm really sorry to hear that. Number 7. I've got too much work to do. Oh no, that's really annoying. Good. Now, next part, 7a. You're going to listen to responses 1 to 4. Notice the intonation patterns. Okay? Oh, good. 3.6.
3.5.
Sorry.
3.6. Listen.
So you're going to listen to the phrases and pay more attention to the intonation.
Listen to responses 1 to 4. Notice the intonation patterns.
1. Congratulations. 2.
That's fantastic news.
3. That's a shame. 4. That's awful.
So as you see here about responding to good news, the intonation somehow rises, then comes down. Congratulations, that's fantastic news. The stress pattern is in fantastic. That's fantastic news. And bad news, in responding to bad news, the intonation goes down. That's a shame. That's awful. Okay. Now, listen to 3.7 and mark the main stress on responses 1 to 6. Which ones use a higher voice? Listen and check. Okay?
Listen to 3.7. Mark the main stress on sentences 1 to 6. Which ones use a higher voice? Listen and check. Then listen and repeat.
1.
You lucky thing.
2.
That's terrible.
3.
Well done.
4,
I'm so pleased for you.
5,
That's really annoying.
6,
That's awful. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Good. Let's check them together. You lucky thing. Lucky thing. Both get stressed and the voice is higher here. Lucky thing get stressed and it is high. That's terrible. Terrible. Get stressed. Uh, the stress is on terrible, but the voice low is low. Number three, well done. Both of them are stressed and it is high. Number four, I'm so pleased for you. So pleased are stressed and it is high. That's really annoying. Really annoying are stressed, but the voice is low. Number six, that's awful. Stress is on awful, but the voice is low. And um, I'm really sorry to hear that. Really sorry, both and here. They get stressed, but uh, the intonation goes down. It is low. So we have one stress pattern each sentence. Although it is low, the voice is low, but there are some words that get stressed that I mentioned you. Okay, thank you very much. For your own practice, please read the situations and write conversations for each one for the situations. And if you have any partners at home, you can practice with your partner according to the actually language bank and whatever the intonations, the phrases that we use to give bad news, good news, and practice with a partner. Okay, then look back. Good. Um, Here actually you're going to use adjectives to describe how you feel in the following situations. You remember that we talked about adjectives with adding ed and ing at the end of at the end of some verbs, just like uh, discuss, disgusting, satisfy, satisfying, satisfied. I don't know, boring, bored. These adjectives you're supposed to practice here means that if you lose your plane or train ticket, how will you? Here you can also practice grammar of this unit actually. For example, for number one, I can say if I lose my uh, train or plane ticket, I will feel frustrated. Number two, if I get lost at night in a foreign city, I will really be frightened. I will be frightened. If I wait for a delayed flight, I will feel bored. If I get if I forget someone's name, I will feel embarrassed. Try to use those adjectives and at the same time you can practice the grammar points. Next part, to be. Again, it is a kind of practice, a kind of practice related to those adjectives. Uh, For example, it is annoying when somebody calls you late at night. It is annoying when somebody smokes in public places. Uh, because of some problems nowadays in the country, I'm really worried. So, about ing and ed, let me review it once again. We use ing form for an outside factor that causes a feeling in you. That outside factor is expressed by ing form, and your feeling clause from B and write if clauses. One of them will be your if clause, the other one will be your consequence or main clause. Okay? For example, first one is done for you. I be rich. You're supposed to use conditional type 2. Unreal, imaginary, hypothetical situation for now. If I was rich or if I were rich, informal was formal verb. If I was rich, I'd give money to charity. I'd give. This I'd means I would give. If there was no war, the world would be more peaceful. If there were more hours in the day, people would work more. If I had more energy, I'd dance all night. If nobody smoked, people would be healthier. If I gave up coffee, I'd sleep better. If I could paint well, I'd do a portrait of you. I wish I were. About these if clauses, we use wish, also wish sentences. If I was rich, I would give money to charity. I wish I were rich. I wish there were no war. I wish there were more hours. I wish I had more energy. I wish nobody smoked. I wish I gave up coffee. I wish I could paint well. So for each if clause, we make a wish sentence for each one. Okay. Now this part is also done. Let's continue with 5A. Each conversation has 2 words missing. Write in the missing words. You may have to change the punctuation. Okay. Number 1. Bad news, I'm afraid. So it goes down. Bad news, I'm afraid. We have stress, bad news, afraid. They are stress patterns, but it goes down. Bad news, I'm afraid. I'm reading number 1. Bad news, I'm afraid. What is the matter? The computers aren't working. Not again. That's annoying. Number 2. You'll never guess what. What? I got the job. Congratulations. That's great. Fantastic news. Number 3. I've got some good news for you. What is it? I've been promoted. Well done. That's great news. Number 4. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but I'm leaving the company. What? Why? The company has got problems, so they're reducing the numbers of managers. I'm sorry to hear that. Number 5. You know that exam I did last week? Yes. Well, I passed. Congratulations. I'm so pleased for you. Okay? Thank you very much. Find somebody at home and try to practice the conversations with your partner. Thank you, and this is the end of part 5.